Hey guys, Justin here. I wanted to take a quick second and tell you about the second annual Growth Now Movement Live, held in my hometown of Reading, Pennsylvania, May 15th through 17th, 2020. This event will feature some of my top guests like fitness influencer Natalie Jill, massive keynote speaker Anthony Trucks, and Bellator MMA fighter and humanitarian Justin Wren, and many, many more. This is going to be a life-changing event. It is truly a day-and-a-half long rock concert for entrepreneurs, forward thinkers, and people who are ready to take their life to the next level. So if that's you, head over to gnmlive.com and grab your tickets today because prices are going up soon. Again, go to gnmlive.com now to level up your life and truly create the life of your dreams. Can't wait to see you there. What is the secret to unlocking your full potential? What makes your idols any different than you? How do you become the person you've always wanted to be in life? This is where you get all of your questions answered. My name is Justin Shank, and I sit down with some of the most epic individuals who are changing the world with their actions in business and in life. We discuss how they did it, why they pushed themselves, and more importantly, how they were able to focus on continuous growth to achieve their dreams. Welcome to the Growth Now Movement. This week, I sit down with David Lee Jensen. Now, as you guys know, I host Growth Now Movement Live, and it is truly my labor of love. It's something that I've designed to give as much as possible to you guys, my audience, and so much more. So I understand the heart and desire and work that goes into having an event. And that's why I have David Lee Jensen on the show this week, because he is the host of Cr8 Conference out in Phoenix, Arizona, and just knowing how much heart David puts into everything he's done, from building multiple seven-figure businesses to making strong connections with amazing individuals, I know that this conference is going to blow everything out of the water. I think you guys are going to love this conversation that I had with David. You're absolutely going to love his mindset and the steps that he takes to build a successful business time and time again. You can get more information about his conference at cr8conference.com, cr8conference.com. So make sure you check that out. The speaker lineup is absolutely stellar. Now, before we get to this conversation about David, his success, and his conference, I want to remind you guys that Growth Now Movement Live is also around the corner. David and I actually talk about in this episode how our conferences perfectly complement each other as far as timing of them, as you know, the spacing of the events themselves, the fact that one's on the West Coast, one's on the East Coast, and how we focus on different things and how it's all important in your life. So make sure you also grab tickets at Growth Now Movement Live at gnmlive.com because tickets are going fast and it will sell out long before the event is here, even though we are less than 90 days away. Cannot wait to connect with you guys there, give you a high five, and hopefully take your life, your business, your relationships to the next level with myself and the incredible speakers we have. Now, without further ado, let's get to the episode with David Lee Jensen. David, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's everything?
Dude, it's phenomenal. Obviously, you know, excited to have this conversation on the record. We were just having a good talk about your event and how we even connected was like this understanding of like what goes into a live event and really what's the passion behind it. And what I like to say to people is, look, it truly is a labor of love. Like, I think that if you're going to put something together that's going to impact people on a deep level, it needs to tie to something great. But why don't we start with who's David today? And then we'll unpack how we got there and we'll do all the good stuff from there.
Yeah, David today is the resultant product of David of the past. Yeah. All of those things led to, really, I'm just an overnight success and overnight millionaire. And, who knows what I'll be tomorrow, right? That's what you always hear, overnight success, which is really, probably about 15 years in the making. Yeah. And, millionaire maybe in, on paper, but forget about all the expenses that go out between running a business, running, online programs, and then running events. There's so much movement of time, money, energy that you really just get lost in it all, which kind of leads back to what you said. It is a labor of love. It is something that I would absolutely positively not be doing unless I was extremely passionate about helping other people become entrepreneurs.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting when I heard parts of your story, you didn't get into the entrepreneur game until you were in your 40s, which, I love. My favorite is I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I used to sell lemonade on the corner and, all that stuff. But your story is not like that. It's something that kind of came later in your life. Let's talk a little bit about how you even got to that point. What made you decide to jump the corporate ship and then get into entrepreneurship?
It was really almost like a happy accident in the fact that a buddy of mine he was actually a client and a friend when I was running a big merchant services company, a financial institution, which we grew. I was there 10 years and grew substantially. And along the way, we became friends. And he came to town for a Christmas party at my house and said, hey, next weekend I'm going to this charity dinner with Sir Richard Branson. It's called Rock the Casbah. You want to come? And I was like, sure, Sir Richard Branson and all these celebrities, Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, like I'm in. And the day he came over, the day he came over for us to go to the event, he said, can we go to the airport and pick up my friend? And I was like, sure. We went to the airport and we picked up Joe Polish. Now, I knew nothing about Joe Polish or the Genius Network or 25K Club or Piranha Marketing or online marketing or anything in that universe at all. So Joe Polish to me was just my buddy Jim's buddy. Like it was as simple as that. Then we got to this event, and that night I met Dean Graziosi, I met Brendan Burchard, I met Sir Richard Branson, I met, a whole cast of characters, and really started to hear these stories. Like literally just at a dinner party function, started to hear this little buzz about how many of these people were like online marketers and such. And then obviously got into a little bit more deep conversations with Joe and such. And my buddy said, yeah, these guys are all very cool and they're in this world. And I was like, wow, that's really neat. And it really went nowhere else because I knew nothing about the quote experts industry. And then I think it was only a couple months later, my buddy was like, hey, let's meet in San Jose. There's this really cool event. One of the guys you met, that guy, Brendan Burchard, and, it's going to be a hoot. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. And literally, once again, I knew nothing about this world, had absolutely no clue. And I walked into an experts academy, and that weekend learned how to become an author, a speaker, a coach, and an online marketer. And I literally took Experts Academy and crossed out experts and put in hiring, because I found out that, week, okay, good. What my unique talent or unique ability is hiring the right people the first time and every time. Wrote that down, created my book. It was really, and not everybody knows this, but my book is called The Naked Interview, Hiring Without Regret.
Wow.
And people were like, why is it the naked interview, right? And there's all sorts of jokes about that. But really what was in my mind still was the whole Virgin brand and how Branson had taken that Virgin brand and that Virgin, connotation in your head, even though it's not something wrong, it still attracts attention. And so I did that with the naked interview. And, was really blessed to have that be an Amazon #1 bestseller. And really, it solves a problem for business owners that's really huge. And that literally then started it all. And I was 40 years old. I wrote the book. I started the online course. And very shortly thereafter, I got to quit my day job. I went from a 6-figure suit to a 7-figure entrepreneur. It was not overnight success by any way, shape, or form. But it definitely was an overnight jump. I definitely took the leap and built my wings on the way down.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of people are afraid to take that leap, especially later in life, because they feel they needed that sense of security. They need that support in their life. What was it about you or your personality or your past that made that like, this is where I need to go? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a combination of factors. One was that it was exciting and it was fun and it truly was my passion. And I think there's a great debate and I understand the debate. I'm not like a hater or anything like that, but there's a great debate of like pursuing your passion doesn't mean that you can get rich. And, people who say, just go pursue your passion and the money will follow, they're full of it, and all this, whatever, right? That's a legitimate debate. And I'm living proof, let me tell you. But I think for me, the determining factors were that my kids were now old enough where they were just about ready to either take the leap to college or to go into entrepreneurial ventures themselves, which they did. And my wife was willing to take the risk with me. And we were just in a place in life where we were really willing to chase happiness, really. Like we were always happy. But as soon as we looked at, okay, good, the kids are leaving, we can live anywhere in the world we want now, we can do, like all of these things, it just kind of, and there was a straw that broke, the camel's back at my job as well, which was just that I saw that I really had a ceiling on where I was at and that there was no ability to have unlimited expansion of my own personal wealth and my own personal, future. I was the president. The only place to go, above that was CEO. And that CEO had been there since day one and was a founder of the company. So options were limited. And I just decided, okay, good. I want to create something that's all my own and I'll, live or die in the attempt.
I love that. And so how important was it you going, obviously you telling the story of you going to this dinner party and meeting all these incredible people, and people who listen to my podcast know who these people are. Some of them have been on my show, and you look at that, like how important was that for you to almost empower you or inspire you to take that leap?
It's funny that you would say, empower you and inspire you. I'll tell you what it did. It scared the damn crap out of me.
I love that answer.
That's just the fact, right? Like I was actually intimidated. I was really a bit, I thought I was out of my league. And honestly, my friend Jim, I really give him a lot of credit for, elbowing me at the Brendan Bouchard event going, hey, you could do this. You could be up on that stage. You could, communicate to these people that way. You're, upbeat and extroverted and you speak with the message. He had seen me public speak before and he was like, you'd kill it in an environment like this. And I'm like, look, dude, he's got 850 people in the room. He's going to make over $4 million this weekend. I am not worthy. And that self-doubt, that not quite self-abasement, right? But definitely just that the doubt set in pretty heavy. And that was probably the first obstacle that I occurred of like, wow, okay, good. Am I willing to overcome this? And I think that what changed my mind on that, and I'm almost realizing this as I'm telling you, was the fact that I was okay with putting myself on the line if it meant helping others. Mm-hmm. And really that was the more mission-driven, passionate force underneath.
Sure. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because I think a lot of times when we do something, and a lot, not all, but a lot of entrepreneurs will tie what they're doing to a purpose and helping other people. And, this platform that I built was to help other people, and it happened to become a business. Like it was like an accidental entrepreneur thing, right?
Wow.
But when I look at going, hey, I want to tie helping people to what I'm doing, like where did that come from in your life? Like why is that so important to you?
I lost the last part of that question, I think, on internet drop. Where did the purpose come into play?
Why was it important for you to tie it to helping other people?
Just because that was like my basic core, my basic purpose. I mean, I was a basketball coach before that, and I had been a business consultant before that, and I had worked in the entertainment industry as an agent helping others before that. So everything I had done was always about helping others. And I think that this was just, wow, I can have even, more fun or more enjoyment or more love of, more passion in the helping of others with what I found as a career path there.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And so obviously now here you are, you've built this online business, you're doing all these crazy things, 7-figure business. Now you have this live event. Let's talk a little bit about the live event and what made you come around to that. You had mentioned something to me about 2012. A moment that happened to you, like, I want to be on this stage. I want to hold an event here. Let's talk about that a little bit, how important that is.
It's so crazy because people talk about daily affirmations and they talk about, setting goals and, their future and, what do they say that you can, you manifest it, right? Mm-hmm. And I always just kind of go, yeah, those are the woo-woo guys, right? Like woo-woo away. That's like really what I believe is in what I can see, what I can feel, what I can touch, what I can produce. I'd rather, work at a hard day than, spend a dime in the stock market and go on, like I'm not a gambler. And when I was at 25K Club at of course, then I joined Joe Polish's Genius Network, of course, right? Yeah, you're roped in once you're in the experts industry. So that was going to be my key marketing, my key networking, and my key relationship building so that I could really come into existence as a true entrepreneur. And while I was there was a weekend that I was there, and we were really talking about, okay, author, speaker, coach, all of these different things. And I said, I would love to do an event. And there was a guy there at the event who was a local in Phoenix, Arizona. And I had said, is there any really cool event venue around here? I just want to kind of get the look, the feel, the what have you. And he was like, oh, there is this beautiful gem. It's a city-owned property, so it's not as expensive as getting a hotel. And it's a beautiful theater and this, that, and the other. And I was like, let's go check it out. So we drove over there on a break, and I stood on the stage of the Tempe Center of the Arts, and I said, wow, it's 600 seats that wrap around like an opera theater. They have little opera boxes and such as well, like for a symphony orchestra or something. And there's 2 balconies. And the cool thing is the way they built it, they're the furthest away seat in the entire place, like second balcony, back row. I think there's only like 3 or 4 rows in the balcony anyways, but second floor balcony, back row is only 55 feet away from the speaker on stage.
Wow.
So it is the most intimate environment. I know, it's like crazy. So like you can literally make eye contact with 600 people, and they're going to be that close to the speakers. And at that day, I was like, I'm going to do an event here someday. And that was in 2012. And, fast forward to now, March 27th and 28th of 2020, I'm stepping on that stage, whether the place is packed or not. And I literally, and then, I built, it was funny when you and I were talking earlier, you was like, wow, you have this incredible lineup of speakers. And really, it's funny because I keep hearing that, and it's a real diversity of speakers as well. But what I did was I just called all the people who I began with. I mean, Steve Sims and I were in the same 25K group in 2011, right before I made that original decision, hey, I'm going to do an event here. So it just wouldn't be the event without Steve and without Joe. And, I currently sell a product on Lightspeed VT. So that's where Brad Lee comes in the, mix. And, we spoke at the same event last year, Nicole Arbor. That's where, she shows up. And Jason Stone, millionaire mentor from Instagram with, 5 million followers or what have you. I was his speaker coach. So I said, now you're going to come, and, he hired me to, train him on speaking. And so now he's going to speak on my stage. It's just amazing how all of these different personalities came together to, help create entrepreneurs. And that's why we did the Create Your Future conference.
Yeah, which is incredible. And guys, stop, rewind a minute and a half, and listen to the speaker lineup again. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And look, obviously, I'm fortunate enough that with my event, I have big speakers too. But it's about the impact, and you can hear when you talk about your event that you truly care about how are we truly touching those people, even from the idea that, look, the furthest away person is 55 feet away from me. It could be a large event, 600 people, but we're still going to create an intimate atmosphere so we can connect, right? And so when you were formulating this live event, I love hearing this type of stuff. Where did all the ideas come from? The formation of it, how you're teaching? Was it from different events you went to and spoke at, or how did that look like? What did that look like for you?
Oh, that's a really cool question. Nobody's ever asked that before. You kind of came up with that on your own. I like that. That is really cool. You know where it came from? It's funny because the whole event is going to follow the sequence of a new book that I'm releasing. I'm releasing a new book called Create Your Future. And then it has some subtitle that I don't remember. When you collaborate with people, it all gets lost in the wash, right? Something about monetizing your passion and, becoming an entrepreneur. But really for me, it was taking the things that I was doing in coaching programs. Like I mentioned, I did some speaker training with people, and I had done, online coaching and online marketing coaching with people. And I had done, all of these different aspects for my own business and becoming an entrepreneur. And it changed my life. So if I want to help change the life of others, then I'm going to lead them down that same path. And that's why it was really important to me that I just teach what I learned that helped me succeed, because that's what I know. And I didn't want to bring in rock stars and crazy things to have like a motivational weekend, because I feel like the result of a motivational weekend is you are motivated for the weekend, right?
Yeah.
I wanted it to be like, become an entrepreneur. And at the end of this, they actually leave with the materials in hand, the tools they need to become an entrepreneur, like the real deal.
Yeah, no, I love that. And obviously, a great friend of mine, Jeremy Ryan Slade, introduced us, and he's also a part of the event as well. And he's somebody who's going to be doing like a deep dive at your event, right? So like when we look at what you're doing, you have the keynotes and then you have the breakdown. I love that format. I think it's something that obviously breaks up the monotony of a lot of these events. So they can be like, these hour-plus long speakers where you're like, okay, when is this person done? I'm not interested. I just love how you're guiding it in a way in our ADD society, because that's kind of how mine is too, and breakdown of that. And so when you look at everything you're putting together, and by the way, guys, the event itself is the number 8 conference. So it's Cr8conference.com, right?
Sure. Cr8conference.com. We own both domains, the Create conference or Cr8, which is our trademarked kind of logo. That's our 10X, Create.
Nice. I love it. I love it. So make sure you guys check that out. But when you're looking and you're building all these evolutions of your business, like I look at, corporate David to trainer David to speaker David to now event host David, are there similar things that you take into all of that aspects of your life, or is it constantly evolving and changing into each role you play?
I think they're all similar, because they're all doing the exact same thing. Like from being a basketball coach to being a president of a company to being a business consultant, every one of them was truly some sort of coaching, some sort of listening to people and finding out what do they need, what do they want to accomplish, what is their goal, what is their purpose, and then helping them align that with the purposes of the team or of the business or of the activity. And really all my life, that's what I've done, is just, coach. And now I just want to be able to do it on a bigger scale. That's what I love about an event like this or any of the events that I speak at, is instead of just having the one-on-one conversation with somebody where you have these amazing aha moments or these amazing golden nuggets, now you can share it with 600 people, and then you can share the live broadcast of it to tens of thousands of people. And that's what really gets me excited. I have this stated purpose, which is I want to create a remarkable impact on the production and prosperity of the world. And I believe that can be done by creating 8 million entrepreneurs. And that really just comes from, like, if you look at the housing crash in 2008, or you look at the financial crises before that, or you look at any of the tough times, what happens? Despite all of that devastation, we end up creating more millionaires in that span of time than in the entire existence before that year. And why is that? That's because people become entrepreneurs. They become, no longer reliant on someone else when that business may go out of business. And then what do? So now they're relying on themselves, and they take something that they can do well and they monetize it, and boom, now you've got a changed world. So if we can get 8 million people doing that, I think they can all take responsibility for their own, several million, 100 million, and we can affect the 8 billion on planet Earth.
Yeah, I love that purpose, and I love the breakdown of the math of it, and it's so true too. Obviously, that's a huge undertaking. What's your future goals and your future ideas with the Cr8 conference and everything else you're building right now?
It's funny. I consider that everything else I've done led up to this. I was actually looking at the table of contents for the new book as we're fleshing out some of the final chapters and such. And I realized that, hiring is, the start, right? Like the people you choose, up-leveling your circle, right? The people that you surround yourself. We hear that from so many different peoples, from, Jim Rohn to Napoleon Hill to, what have you. The people you surround yourself are so important. And that really lines into entrepreneurship, as does mastering your message, which is a coaching drill I used to do to help you develop your brand, as is how to write a best-selling book, which I've done a couple times and I'm going to do again and want to see other people do, because it's a really fancy business card, as well as it's something that is a marketing material for your online product, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life, is continue to help people. So we're going to build a community around accountability and actionable steps so that it just continues to go on. And we'll do the event annually. And I think we're going to end up doing, this is the first time I've ever said this, live in public. So this is your exclusive. But we've actually got a plan to do quarterly events that specifically focus on each of those areas, so that you can kind of the master class or the PhD class. So we'll be doing a speaking event, a coaching event, an author event, and then the big annual event that brings them all together. That's the future plan. And you heard it here first.
That's amazing. And that's a huge undertaking as well. I mean, obviously knowing that people ask me all the time, are you going to take Growth and Movement live across the country? And I'm like, no, it's so much work. So
why would I do that?
Like, understand the amount of passion and love that goes into these things. And when you look at it from that standpoint, that going to these events, you're going to get something great out of it, which I love. So obviously the cool part about this podcast, and you've just recently launched a podcast as well. So congratulations on that, which is amazing.
Thanks.
What's it called again?
It's called Cr8 Your Future Podcast. And that's a whole nother world. I've done 6 episodes and already gone, really? Should I be doing this?
Yeah. It's an interesting world to be a part of. I've been doing it for 3.5 years, and I, every once in a while, I'll still go, should I be doing this? It's
mad respect, man. Mad respect for you and Jeremy. And my one of our speakers, Tyler Wagner's done over 1,500 or 1,600 episodes. I'm like, dude, how do you do this? But anyway, so I have mad respect for you guys who do that. And I'm only doing it because, my team said, you got to have a podcast. I'm like, okay, fine.
No, I love it. So the cool part is, though, it gives me the opportunity to talk to some of the world's most successful people, right? And so my question for you is, what's your definition of success? And what are 3 things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself?
Oh, okay. On a daily basis, the first thing that I do every single day is have a cup of coffee. And that really breeds success, because it gets the energy going. No, I'm kidding. Can you imagine if I was like, well, I have a cup of coffee and I eat protein. And anyways, the first thing I do is I have a meeting with my wife, really. My wife and I are business partners, as well as best friends, as well as married for 27 years, which I guess is unusual nowadays. But
it is, man. Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thanks. Appreciate it. We take a walk, and unless the weather is really, really horrible, it's always outside and extroverting, and, we get space and we can go over, problems that are, this bill is coming in, or this, situation's occurring, or this or that or the other. And we can have that conversation while we're walking along. I live in Miami, so we live right on the ocean. We just go out and walk the beach, right? So doing that every single day, unless we're inside on the treadmill because it's, bad weather. Yesterday was 45 degrees in Miami. 45 degrees.
I'd feel bad for you, man, but a high of 32 here today. So,
no sympathy. But so that's the first thing I do every day is, take a walk, get some space, have a great conversation with my wife that really frameworks the rest of the day. Then the second thing I do is I sit down and I write the to-do list, the plan of action, any of the goals that I want to achieve for that day, and I just put it in writing. so that everything's out of my head and not lost, and I'm not missing pieces. So I'm always having running lists throughout the day. And then the third thing I think I do is, I hold myself accountable, and I hold my team members accountable, and I run through what their to-do list was and what my to-do list was, and make sure that it all gets done. And we have a team meeting, and we ensure that everybody is taking on their responsibility, and they can have fun with it and have wins with it, but they also got to get it done, and a done isn't a done until it's done.
Yeah. No, I love all that stuff, man. Obviously I love hearing this journey that you're on that has at this point culminated to the Cr8 conference, and it'll continue to evolve and grow into the multiple things a year and so on and so forth. But I absolutely love this conversation. Let's get to the important stuff. How do people get a hold of you? How do they get tickets to your event? What's all that stuff?
Oh, cool. Thanks. They to get to the event, to go to the sales page and the information page, the website that really lays it all out. That's Cr8conference.com. Simple, Cr8conference.com or Cr8conference.com. To get tickets to the event, they're going to have it right there on the page, all the different levels of tickets available or what have you. And we've actually created for you a coupon code, Justin, and they'll get, all they have to do is put in the word Justin, and they will get 20% off of any tickets that they purchase for the event, which will be really cool. We have 4 different tiers of tickets, all sorts of different specials in there, and we would love to see everybody there. It is going to be not just a motivational event. It's going to truly bring the actionable steps to the stage while also being motivated. I didn't mention Tim Story is going to be there, who I consider one of the most world-renowned speakers, Oprah Network, the whole nine, and the likes of Steve Sims, right? So
yeah, dude, it's so funny because Steve's been on the show. I haven't had Tim Story on, although I've seen Tim speak, and I got to hang out with him at an after party at an event at one point. Just such a very, very motivating human being, somebody who gets it and knows how to inspire. But then also a Steve Sims who's no bullshit, who will cut to the chase and go, this is how it's actually done. And I love what you've built. And honestly, guys, if you're listening to this and you're coming to Growth Now Movement Live, this is an event too. To these two events together just makes sense. So check his event out for sure. Now, obviously, this podcast is called the Growth Now Movement. So I wrap up every single interview with this one question, David, and that is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Biggest moment of growth. Wow. I think the biggest moment of growth was, and I've told this story, but from, answering a different question, but you said it and it was the first thing I thought of. So in 2012, I had started the first event I went to was in 2011. And so I was kind of doing it as a side hustle. I was writing the book, developing the course, or what have you. And so I was speaking at a banking conference in Hawaii. We were in Kauai in the, not the Four Seasons, we were in the Grand Hyatt Resort. Gorgeous, 5-star, beautiful sunset on the beach, the whole nine. Went to bed, had just, the team just finished up the little, bow on the course, and had launched the course on Kajabi for, $199 or something, my very first hiring academy course. It was just the basics. And we woke up in the morning and cha-ching, there was a couple of courses sold. There was money in my PayPal account. And I was like, wow, that was kind of cool. We made money while we slept. And then throughout the day, that happened some more, or what have you. And I was like, wow, we are making money while we sleep. This is so awesome. And then a couple of days later, I started to get emails of people who had completed the course. And they were like, wow, this fully changed the future of my business. I'm going to be able to change my culture. I'm going to be able to change my team. I'm going to be able to change my success. And there were some really heartfelt stories that started to come through. And that was really that moment of growth, where instead of it being about money, instead of it being about me being able to pursue my passion, it became about helping others. And it all kind of tied together my life's purpose. It was like, wow, I am helping people while I sleep. And literally since that day, nothing's ever been the same. I literally would keep doing it no matter what. I'll never change.
I love it, man. David, this conversation has been absolutely amazing. I'm excited to watch this conference take shape and all the amazing things that are going to come along with it, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out to share your wisdom with my audience. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. I really admire what you're doing. I think that your message is clear to the world. You are creating growth in others and great success with your conference. And I'm sure our paths will continue to cross in the future.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Growth Now movement. This is how you can really help me out. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And let's grow this movement to epic heights. And it's all going to be because of you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.